Hello, occupational therapists. I'm here to talk about gender-based medicine and how that affects us in the workplace. To help me out, I have Miss Angelina and Sir Reginald with me today. First off, I want to talk about the differences between sex and gender. Sex refers to the anatomical and biological differences between a male and a female, where gender refers to the traits and social norms that we think of when we think of a male or a female. There are major biological and behavioral differences between males and females that affect the way we provide adequate therapy services. It is researched that men and women have differences in brain chemistry, hormones, processing, and brain structure. As a result, behavior differences are observed. Males tend to be more impulsive, aggressive, they demonstrate emotion physically, they contain higher ability to focus on a single task and have a stronger working memory, where females tend to contain higher ability to multitask, emotional empathy, and understanding, and tend to be impacted by emotional stimuli with more intensity. Since a huge part of what we do as occupational therapists is break down the skills needed to complete daily tasks, it is important to remember that males and females process information differently and have different memory and cognitive processing abilities. Another huge part is the physical differences between males and females. Miss Angelina represents a stereotypical female. She wears pink and bows, and she has a smaller build than Sir Reginald, who is dressed in a top hat that just fell, and he has a stronger muscular build and more endurance than Miss Angelina over here, and that affects the way that they carry out the same daily living skills, but just differently. Part of what we do in occupational therapy is we address behavior needs as well as self-regulation, because of differences in biology and brain structure. Both males and females process and respond to emotions differently, and so that greatly affects the way that as occupational therapists we present regulatory tools and techniques to both males and females. In occupational therapy, something that we do is provide standardized tests. So when we are treating when we are treating the sex of somebody who identifies as the opposite gender, that proposes a difficulty for us, because when we are administering standardized tests, we are looking at gender norms. So what that means is we administer the test at the beginning of a treatment period to gather a baseline, and at the end to gather progress. And that data is statistics based off of gender norms. So we're looking at memory, cognition, motor performance, vision, fine motor dexterity, everything. And the way the formula in the standardized test works and what makes it a standardized test is that it takes into account all those differences and creates a norm for males and females. So when we're administering that test to somebody who identifies as the opposite gender, it can be misleading to us, and the data can be inaccurate or misrepresent that individual because we are looking at the biology only when we're collecting that data. And it can also be difficult or offensive to them because we are testing them as the sex that they were born into and not the gender that they identify as. In occupational therapy, it is essential that we help people to define their roles, rituals, and routines. Miss Angelina has very different roles than Sir Reginald. Miss Angelina prefers to cook and clean and stay at home. She does things like ballet, and she likes to read, and her social and behavior norms with her friends are different. Sir Reginald, he works at the bank. He is very physically active. He does sports, and the way he interacts with his friends is very different than the way Miss Angelina acts with her friends. And it is important in occupational therapy that when we are looking at roles and rituals and activities of daily living, that we look at the differences between what a male and a female role and daily living skills look like. under the umbrella of therapy, we address sexual needs, we address social needs, as well as motor rehabilitation, daily roles, and routines. These processes are stereotypically different for both males and females, and we do not have gender-based management and therapy programs. If we don't have them that are gender-based, then we are not addressing skills that are personalized and unique to the individual, and therefore they are not beneficial. One of the most important factors when creating a treatment program is looking at what is motivating and important to the client. And if we are not taking into account the way that gender affects that, it's not an ideal program for the individual. So that's a huge part of what we do as occupational therapists. Training professionals on the biological differences between genders helps them to use better clinical reasoning to make decisions about a patient's care. Changes in clinical procedures such as behavior protocols, skill learning, and emotional regulation protocols are important because they focus on gender-based medicine and how to uniquely treat the individual based off of their needs, whether that be biologically, structurally, emotionally. We need to take into account all of those things, and it is significant that we start making changes in healthcare that take into account the differences in individuals. And we already do that when we're looking at clients. We're trying to provide unique therapy that is optimal to their unique needs, and gender plays a huge role in that. All right, thank you and have a wonderful night.